Good evening. This is the Northern Sun Experience. As the basketball season gets into full swing, we'll take a moment to highlight the best of the best in my inaugural picks for teams of the weekend. On the men's side, it's the University of Mary. 2 wins over Minnesota Crookston and Bemidji State en route to a 12-2 start. The Marauders had just 9 wins all of last season. My women's team of the week is Northern State. The Wolves handed Winona State its first conference loss of the year, while also winning a defensive affair over Upper Iowa. When we come back, we'll break down everything NSIC women's hoops with Jordan Dalton.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience, joined once again for the new year by former Augustana point guard Jordan Dalton, breaking down men's and women's hoops. And Jordan, let's start on the women's side. A team that's suddenly at the top of the North Division, St. Cloud State. They've won 4 games in a row. They have a 7-1 record in the conference. This was a team that was sort of middle of the pack last year, finished 4th in the division. So why have they gotten off to such a good start this season? Yeah, well, I think a big part of their success this year has been their activity on the defensive end. You know, they're long, athletic kids who are able to wreak havoc on the defensive end. You know, right now they're holding opponents to under 38% shooting from the field and also averaging 5 blocks a game. So they're doing a great job of getting deflections, getting out in transition, and getting easy buckets on the offensive end. And then when they do have to set up in a half-court setting, they do a great job of sharing the basketball, you know, averaging 15 assists on 21 made field goals. And so as a defense, it's tough for you to key in on one specific player because they're so unselfish and moving the basketball so well and then getting easy shots as a result of it. So I just think they're a team right now that's doing a great job of playing great balanced basketball on both ends of the court. Yeah, it helps when over 75% of your field goals come on assists.
There you go.
Well, the other team that's 7-1 in the conference is Winona State, but they're coming off arguably their worst weekend of the season. They lost their first conference game to Northern State on Saturday, and then they needed a late rally to top MSU Moorhead on Sunday. So why are the Warriors struggling right now?
Well, I thought Friday night, it's always tough coming off a long holiday break. You know, for them, I just thought they got sucked into the slow, methodical pace that Northern likes to play in. You know, they're an up-tempo team, and they want the score to be in the 70s and 80s. And on Friday night against Northern, they only had 55 points, which is 20 points below their season average, and only shot the ball 34.5% from the field. So I just thought they rushed a lot of shots, and you could tell they were a little rusty. Saturday night, they did end up with a win, but for them, it's all about establishing pace early in the game. They have to set the pace and the tone early in the game. They want a lot of possessions. They want to get out and get going in transition. Want to get to the free throw line where they get there 15 times a game, and that's a large part of their offense. So I think they just have to get into a rhythm and a flow early in the offense or early in the game versus maybe having teams slow the game down, which, like you said, Northern does to just about anybody.
Yeah, Northern State's that's their forte, is slowing things down to sort of a half-court tempo type game. And MSU Moorhead as well. I mean, they scored fewer points in that game also.
Yeah, and that's a tough part. Like you said, when a team slows you down like that, you have a tendency to press on the offensive end. And I thought that's what the Warriors did. They just pressed on the offensive end. They didn't give up good shots for great shots. They maybe took the first shot they saw because they were playing defense for 25, 30 seconds on the other end. And so, like I said, there's a lot of rust coming off of the long holiday break. And so I'm sure they'll watch film and kind of talk about some different game plan options of how to speed the game up a little bit more in the future.
Well, let's switch back to some positive news. Sioux Falls, they split this weekend. They won at Augustana, then they lost at Wayne State. But they are 12-2 on the year, and every year since they've joined the NSIC in 2012, they've improved their win total. Again, like St. Cloud State, a middle-of-the-pack team last year, so why are they elite this year?
Yeah, and I'm completely biased for guards, but I think they have one of the best backcourts in the conference. You got Maddie Robeson out there at the point guard, who's one of the best distributors in the conference. Right now, she's leading the conference with 5 assists per game, and then is number 3 in the conference with an assist-to-turnover ratio. So she doesn't turn the basketball over. She makes good decisions with the basketball. And then she gets the basketball in the players' hands where they're comfortable at, where their strong suits are. And then on the outside, you have one of the best three-point shooters in the country in Taylor Varsho. You know, she's made 47 three-pointers already this season, which is 4th best in the country. And so when you have a weapon like that on the offensive end out there on the perimeter, what she's able to do is make life a lot easier for her teammates. You know, when she sets screens, nobody's helping off of her. When people are penetrating their gaps, nobody's helping off of her. So she's making the game a lot easier for everybody involved on the court. And that strong backcourt, I really think is going to take them deep into the playoffs as long as they keep playing at the high caliber that they have been.
And, of course, it helps that Varsho's a Colorado State transfer. It always helps to get a D1 prospect.
Absolutely. And I think people are shocked, to be honest with you, when they transfer from the Division I level to the D2 level as far as the competition level. But she's done a great job of showing just a unique skill set. She's an absolute sniper out there on the three-point line, and her teammates know it as well. So they do a great job of looking for her as well and really utilizing that talent.
Well, Minnesota Crookston swept its weekend series in North Dakota. They topped UMary and Minot State. They also lead the conference in three-point field goal percentage. As a former player, is there something to be said that when shots are falling, it just makes the game that much easier?
Well, you're assuming that shots fell a lot when I played.
Hey, you distributed
them. There you go. That's why I had great players around me. But it is. I think the biggest change is the confidence level that you play with. When you see the ball go in the basket, everything else just seems to go a lot smoother. You got a lot more confidence. You're cutting a lot harder. You're passing a lot harder. And then that confidence on the offensive end leads to energy on the defensive end, too. It's somehow after you make 2 or 3 three-pointers, well, now I'm going to play defense a little bit harder. It happens every single time. And I think that's been the biggest thing for Minnesota Crookston is just the confidence level and the comfortability that they're playing with right now. They feel like they can do no wrong out there, and it's great to see a cohesive unit have that type of confidence.
Well, aside from the teams that we've mentioned so far, what's maybe one that's kind of a little bit under the radar that people should keep an eye on for the rest of the month?
Yeah, and I don't know if they're under the radar, but you look at Northern State, like you said, coming off a big win against Winona State, had a 2-0 weekend on the road coming after that holiday break. And so I really think they're a great team that, once again, they just know who they are. They have a great team identity. They understand their calling is defense and set plays and kind of a slow, methodical pace. And I really think they're going to try to ride that wave of momentum after this weekend into the rest of the season. And so I look up for big things from the Lady Wolves.
All right, well, thank you very much, Jordan. When we come back, Mr. Dalton's going to break down the weekend that was in men's hoops. Stay with us.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience, joined once again by Jordan Dalton. And Jordan, we'll switch to men's side now. Your alma mater, Augustana, they just continue to tear through the NSIC. 8-0 in the conference, another pair of wins this weekend. All 8 of their conference wins so far have been by at least 24 points. Why are they just so dominant?
Yep, and I kind of sound like a broken record when we get up here and talk about this every week, but it's the amount of offensive weapons that they can put on the court at one time. And Friday night in the game against University of Sioux Falls, played great in the first half. It was an ugly game. It was a kind of half-court game. I don't think Dan Jansen had a bucket for the first 10 minutes of the first half. But then you have Adam Beyer comes through with a career-high 24 points. And so it's things like that where Adam Beyer is the 5th member of that starting 5 that nobody seems to talk about. Yet he just shows up to work every single day and does his job. And you got to appreciate a kid like that, and you got to root for a kid like that to come out and have the type of performance that he did. And what it results into as an opposing coach, who do you game plan for? Because if you take away options A and B, well, options C, D, and E are still really, really good. And so it's their ability to score in really any way, shape, or form that the defense gives them, whether it's inside or whether it's outside or whether there's through penetration. They don't really have a weakness on the offensive end. And now we're able to see the depth they have on the offensive end, not just from the big 3, front court players in their starting 5, but everybody's getting involved.
Yeah, well, you mentioned those big 3 starting front court players in Schilling, Jansen, and Richter. Richter leads all of D2 in three-point field goal percentage. And as a team, when Augie makes 10 or more threes in a game, they are 23-1 over the past 2 seasons. So that's a pretty good threshold for the Vikings.
Not too bad at all.
Well, Minnesota State Moorhead, not to be outdone, also undefeated in conference play, got a couple of 20-point road victories this weekend. They've won 16 games in a row. So it seems like Augie and MSU Moorhead may be on a bit of a collision course, but as far as the Dragons are concerned, how have they kept up this pace?
Yeah, I think number one on the offensive end, they're one of the most efficient teams in the country. The first thing, they just don't turn the basketball over. They average less than 9 turnovers per game. So every single time down the court, they're getting a shot, and typically a good shot. And I know that sounds simple to a lot of people, but very few teams can effectively do that each and every game that they play is go down, get a shot that you can make 50% of the time. And that's what they do a great job of. And then second, they also share the basketball. They're a very, very unselfish team. Over half of their made buckets come off of assists. And so they're moving the ball around, and it just shows the commitment and the buy-in by every single player on that team. They don't care who gets the credit. They don't care who gets the accolades. They just want to win. And when you got a high skill level players playing for one another and playing with a team concept first, they're going to be really, really tough as the season continues to progress.
Augie, Minnesota State, Moorhead, a couple of top 25 teams playing very well right now. Well, they get the accolades because they're the top two teams, but the biggest surprise to me has to be the University of Mary. They're 12-2. Last year they had 9 wins total. The year before 7. So the Marauders have nearly equaled their win total from the past 2 seasons combined. How did this team flip a switch so quickly?
Yeah, I think it's been the emergence of 2 of their best players, Marquellis Edwards and then Brian Jefferson, They've done a great job of being a great inside-out combo. Combined, they're averaging over almost 30 points a game, and both are shooting over 50% from the field as well. And I think when you have 2 guys who can just flat out go get you a bucket, it makes life a lot easier, once again, for everybody involved. That shot clock gets under 10 seconds. You want to have confidence in one, and in this situation, 2 guys, you could just give them the ball and say, hey, go make a play. And so that's infectious as well, and really feeding off to the rest of the team as the team in general is shooting the league best 50% from the field. So I just think they're a team that got sick and tired of losing. You know what I mean? And so now they're having some success. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and they just look comfortable out there on the offensive end with the basketball. And it's amazing what confidence can do for not only just one player, but a team as well. And so now they kind of have a winning mentality, and it's an expectation to win now. And that's a great thing to see for the Marauders.
Yep, University of Mary, definitely a team to look out for as the season goes along. Well, it's a little bit early, but the middle of each division has a bit of a logjam. In the North, you've got Northern State, Bemidji State, and St. Cloud State, all with the same conference record. Of those 3 teams, which has the potential to cause the most problems down the line?
Yeah, basketball in a lot of senses is a game of superstars. And St. Cloud has a great basketball player in Gage Davis. He's averaging, over 20 points a game and can really fill it up on the offensive end. And so I think they have to ride that wave of a guy who's just a phenomenal, flat-out scorer on the offensive end. Their biggest question, and every championship caliber team has it, is a commitment to defense. They've shown that they can score over 80 points a game consistently, but can they stop people? Because you can't score 80 points a game and lose. And so championship caliber teams have a commitment on the defensive end, and it's a consistent effort every time too. And so in order for them to kind of pull away from the pack, they know they got a guy who can lead them on the offensive end, but can everybody buy in on the same defensive concepts?
All right, so Jordan likes the Huskies in the North. Same question in the South, a little bit of a logjam. Sioux Falls, SMSU, Winona State, all on a 4-4 conference record tie. So of those teams, which do you like the most?
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I'd put my money on Southwest Minnesota State. They're a team that always plays hard. They're really, really aggressive on the offensive end right now. They're shooting better than 49% from the field. But for one thing for them, and they're coming off with they've won 3 out of their last 4 games, with their only loss coming against Augie. And so they've been playing great and have a little momentum going. But one thing for them is they don't shoot the 3-point ball very well. And so they have to combat that with guarding the 3-point ball. Right now, opponents have made over more than 30 3-point field goals, than Southwest Minnesota State over the year. And so they have to be able to run shooters off of the 3-point line, force them into tougher shots, because that's not a strong point for them on the offensive end. But I still like the way they play. Love their intensity on both ends of the court. But they are going to have to address that deficiency from the 3-point line.
Well, it's early, but we are less than 2 months away from the conference tournament. The teams can't rest on their laurels right now. They got to pick things up and get some momentum going.
You bet. And right now, you're finding out a lot of identity of your team. Who are you going to be, and where's the buy-in going to come in? Right now, as you move forward in the conference season, I'm sure substitution patterns are getting shortened a little bit. Maybe 10-man rosters go to 7-man rosters, because you're starting to get into the groove of things. And right now, we talked about it. There's a logjam on the men's side, especially. Who's going to be that team that pulls away and really shows that they're in the upper echelon of the conference?
All right, thanks, Jordan. When we come back, it's Under the Northern Sun at the University of Minnesota Duluth.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. It's time to shine the spotlight on one of our member schools with Under the Northern Sun. Tonight, it's the University of Minnesota Duluth.
Welcome to Bulldog Country.
Welcome to Bulldog Country.
Welcome to Bulldog Country.
Welcome to Bulldog Country. I'm sophomore tennis player Carly Weber, and I'm nearly one of 400 student athletes here at the University of Minnesota Duluth. It is my pleasure to give you a taste of what we call Bulldog Country. UMD was established near the turn of the 20th century and became part of the University of Minnesota system in 1947. Nestled on the hill that overlooks Lake Superior, the campus encompasses 240 acres and around 50 buildings. What makes UMD unique is that all but a few of those buildings are connected through underground tunnels, skyways, and concourses. UMD offers over 150 majors and minors, including one of the top-rated engineering programs in the Upper Midwest. We also have an impressive student-to-faculty ratio of 18:1.
You need to be effective in the classroom, in the community, and on the field. And that's something that our coaches have instilled in us ever since we became Bulldogs.
It's also very relatable with the Twin Cities campuses and other U of M campuses around here, so I like the idea of coming up here and still being able to connect with other U of M campuses.
My favorite thing about UMD is probably the size and the people. It's a nice middle ground where you have a lot of different people here, but it's not super small where you know everybody, and everyone that is here is so welcoming and easy to get along with.
The teachers, professors are very friendly. It's easy to talk to them, so I just use as much help as I can from tutors and the teachers that really make it easy.
The city of Duluth is located on the westernmost point of the world's largest freshwater lake, but there is more to Duluth than just the breathtaking beauty of Lake Superior. The city also has over 160 miles of hiking trails, an abundance of parks, and plenty of other options for outdoor enthusiasts. In the summer of 2014, Duluth was crowned Best Outdoor Town in America by Outdoor Magazine. All this, and it's still just a 2 hours drive to one of the country's largest metropolitan areas, and is also serviced by an international airport.
Just the scenery brought me in. I know being on the hill, you wake up every morning in the dorms and you get to look out at Lake Superior. I mean, that's a view that's hard to beat.
Yeah, when I was younger, we always used to travel up here as vacation for our family, and so being able to, live where you vacation is kind of cool. And
as a team, we do sand volleyball, go to Park Point, different activities like that I really love doing.
Among the numerous on-campus facilities the Bulldogs have at their disposal is the recently renovated James S. Molaski Stadium, one of northern Minnesota's premier venues that is home of UMD football, soccer, track and field, and softball. There is also the respected Romano Gymnasium, which houses the Bulldog volleyball and men and women's basketball teams, and is adjacent to the state-of-the-art weight training room. Bulldog Park, Junction Avenue Field, and the UMD Outdoor Tennis Complex can also be found on the confines of the university campus.
I've been to all the other schools on road trips, and I've seen a little bit of what other schools have, and I can honestly say that Duluth, when it comes to a weight room standpoint especially, we have a top-of-the-line facility.
I definitely say the weight room facility is great. I noticed that right away in my visit too. And the gym, I like the seating up high and the fans that we get here. It's like a perfect game environment.
Off campus, in the heart of downtown Duluth, is where you'll find perhaps the centerpiece of UMD's athletic facilities, the $80 million 6,800-seat AMSOIL Arena, which opens its doors in December 2010 for both men's and women's Division I hockey programs.
Personally, I like everything about it. What stuck out to me most was just the rink, and for us, the locker room. I mean, we have a really outstanding locker room, and where I transferred from, we didn't really have that.
My 4 years, I've played in a lot of different rinks all over the country, and this is, number one, I mean, by far. And the facilities, I know a lot of people don't see what we have underneath kind of the stadium, but man, it's first class, and we have everything we need down there, and it's better than I've ever seen on some of the visits I've taken, and we're really lucky to have it.
UMD has one of the country's few hybrid athletic programs in that it offers sports both in the NCAA Division I and II levels. The Bulldogs sponsor 16 sports and compete in the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference, the National Collegiate Hockey Conference, and the Western Collegiate Hockey Association, and they do it with a great deal of success. From 2000 to 2015, UMD has won a combined 8 NCAA championships and 59 conference titles while producing 12 individual national champions and 195 All-American selections.
I think it's just great to be at UMD because the athletic experience here is awesome. There's so many teams that do so well that it just really keeps your team at a high standard, and that's really fun to see.
For me, being a Bulldog, it really just makes me really proud.
Pride is definitely something that I think of when I think of being a Bulldog. Every single Bulldog here, whether you're on a team or not, you have pride in what UMD cares about.
the way that the community is. I mean, Duluth backs Bulldog sports so well. I mean, hockey games, even volleyball games, football games, there's people all over, all ages coming to the games. I mean, whether they're alumni, they bring their young families, bring their little kids. I mean, there's just so much support throughout the whole community, throughout the whole city.
I think everyone that is a Bulldog always uses the phrase is that I'm proud to be a Bulldog, and it's really cool that that's something that we all have.
When we come back, it's DB's Picks, my top 5 plays of the past week.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
Johnson driving. Out. Finneman in the corner for 3. That's good.